Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent. And today we're going to be playing more of the Battle Rush seasonal event, which is an alternate game mode in which players have just 8 seconds to take their turn and 15 seconds to choose cards during the mulligan phase. Now, you guys were asking for a monsters deck using some of the new cards from the Harvest of Sorrow expansion, and today I am proud to give you what is one of the most hilariously fun and hilariously powerful decks I have ever made, using one of the strongest cards in the game. Let's go check it out. So today we'll be playing a Monsters Carapace deck that builds around one of the most powerful cards in the game. That card is Keltullis, the big dragon bully, who when she's in our melee row, at the end of our turn, will destroy the lowest power card on whichever side of the board has more units. That means that with the right deck setup, we can consistently destroy one of our opponent's cards every turn. However, she can be a little bit tricky to use, because of course if you have more units than your opponent, then you will lose a card at the end of your turn. So I think for that reason, perhaps justifiably so, Keltullis may scare off some players. But don't worry, Keltullis just became exponentially more powerful with this expansion, and I'll show you why. But before we talk about what I've done to change the usual Keltullis themed deck, let's talk a little bit more about what a Keltullis deck is, because for this deck to work, the entire deck needs to be built around her. As we were saying, Keltullis needs to be in the melee row, and as soon as you play her, she is going to immediately attract all of your opponent's attention. So if they have any removal or lock, they are going to immediately use it on Keltullis. And for that reason, it is important to play the Cave Troll in the melee row before you play Keltullis to protect Keltullis. Then the other thing that you're usually looking to do in a Keltullis deck is have the minimum number of units, because like we said, if we have more units than our opponent, then Keltullis will destroy our own units rather than our opponent's units. And obviously, that's not good. So for that reason, we have just 13 units, which is the minimum. So instead of loading up on other powerful units, we'll focus on powerful special cards to boost the few units that we do have, so that way we can win a round even if Keltullis and Cave Troll are the only units that we have on the board. And while our opponent struggles to play additional units, we'll just keep on packing on boost, after boost, after boost. And I love Keltullis decks, because I love when your opponent helplessly throws out units that they know are going to get destroyed at the end of your turn. Meanwhile, you don't care, because you can just keep on boosting the units that you have. So the usual order of operations would be, turn 1, Cave Troll in the melee row. Turn 2, boost that Cave Troll in whatever way you see fit. Turn 3, play Keltullis in the melee row, and then watch your opponent's units burn. Historically though, one of the weaknesses of Keltullis decks has been because you're relying so heavily on the Cave Troll and Keltullis, and having most of your other cards being boosting special cards, it means you don't have a lot of room for other powerful units, which is especially relevant in whatever round you are not playing Keltullis, because since she costs 13 provisions, she's too expensive to bring back with Renew, which means you can only ever play her in one round. So historically, Keltullis decks in non-Keltullis rounds would tend to use Nilfgaard for damage, as well as the Beast, and the Apiarian Phantom for boosts, which can work, but there was always a decent risk that your opponent could outscore you. But ladies and gentle witchers, that has all changed, because I give you the most powerful monsters card from the Harvest of Sorrow expansion. But Lids, it's an epic card, it's not even the legendary. I know, trust me, it's that good. Because when we play Witch's Sabbath, we will summon up to 3 highest power units from our opponent's graveyard to an enemy row, which may sound like a bad thing, however, we'll talk about why that can actually help in just a minute. Then summon as many highest power monster units from your graveyard to the opposite row, and give them doomed. Let me ask you a question. What is the most powerful monsters unit in this deck? What is the second most powerful monsters unit in this deck? Yes, now you see it. Who needs Renew when we can use Witch's Sabbath to get both Keltullis and the Cave Troll back in the correct row on the same turn? That means that for the first time ever, we can now play Keltullis in 2 separate rounds. So no more need to rely on that Beast, Apiarian Phantom, or Nilfgaard to carry us when we don't have Keltullis. And not only that, but summoning those cards on our opponent's side helps flood our opponent's side of the board, which sets up Keltullis. That way we don't have to worry about summoning Keltullis and then immediately burning one of our own cards. So basically the plan is, play Keltullis in round 1, and then when our opponent least expects it, break her out again. Cave Troll included. So overall, that's the idea of the deck, but now I'll flip through to show you what else we have. And Ciri Dash is another staple of Keltullis decks. She is not a monsters card, so we cannot bring her back with Witch's Sabbath. It's probably best to save her for the last round and hide her behind the Cave Troll. Otherwise, if you play her in round 1, your opponent might pass before you get the chance to draw the card. then Quax is another way to summon Keltullis by playing it in the melee row, and if your opponent's highest provision cost card has a strong deploy ability, then you get a nice little bonus of getting that card out there without your opponent getting to use that deploy ability. And if we were playing in Standard rather than Battle Rush, of course we would use something like Oneiromancy to guarantee that we get Keltullis that way, but this is a way to much more quickly get Keltullis out without needing to fish through our deck, because we have only 8 seconds to take our turn. Then, as we said, we'll have a bunch of boosting cards as well. That way we don't need to play a unit on every turn. That way we can be sure that we'll have fewer units than our opponent, and Keltullis will work as intended. Then Matta is another way of getting Keltullis into our hand, as is Alzur's Double Cross. And if we already have Keltullis in our hand, then Alzur's Double Cross will give us the Cave Troll, so it's another way to make the deck more consistent. And then we do have room to include the Beast. We don't need it per se, but in case your hand gets messed up and you don't have a way to get Keltullis in the Cave Troll, then this is your plan B, along with the Apiarian Phantom. And a Slyzard is a way to consume more of your units in case, for some reason, your opponent doesn't have a lot of units out there. We don't have too many good targets for consumption, because of course we don't want to consume the Cave Troll, and we don't want to consume Keltullis, and we'd rather not consume the Beast or the Apiarian Phantom, but we'll talk later on about some cards that you can consume. And certainly if your opponent is flooding your side of the board with spies or tokens, then you can definitely consume those. We'd probably prefer not to ever play the Vran Warrior, because again, we want to minimize our number of units, but it will get boosted every time Keltullis destroys something, so if you have to play it, then it will at least get boosted a bit. Then the Witch Apprentice is another card that is a strong engine for us, which is particularly useful if you don't actually get Keltullis or the Cave Troll, but like the Beast and the Apiarian Phantom, it's usable as a 3rd or 4th unit in a Keltullis round, as long as your opponent still has more units than you do. And then the Bridge Troll is the best card for consuming, and that's the only reason it's here, because we need to meet the unit minimum, and if we do consume it, or even get it destroyed by Keltullis, we'll still benefit from doing so. So there's a look at the deck, and of course it is built around playing Keltullis and Cave Troll twice, which is extremely powerful, making it one of the fastest, most effective, and most fun decks I've ever made. Now let's go see it in action, and stay tuned to the very end to see what might be the most epic Gwent match I've ever had. Alright, so going up against Skellige here, and we'll go first. Okay, and remember, of course, when we're choosing our hand, we want to make sure that we have Keltullis, we have Cave Troll, and then other than that, we minimize the number of units in our hand. We have Kelly here, and we have Witch's Sabbath, that's the other card we need. So let's get rid of the Slyzard and ideally some other units if we can, like maybe the Bridge Troll. And that Alzur's Double Cross should be able to give us the Cave Troll. Doesn't look like we have him here, but that will be helpful. Let's play him first. And we'll put Veil on it just in case. Depending on the opponent you're going against, that can be crucially important. Like if you're going against Nilfgaard and they lock him and then follow up with a Vanamar, then you're in trouble. Let's see, Stunning Blow, I mean, will deal damage, but it's not enough to take him out, so that should be fine. But that means no units. So we'll just boost them up for now, but we very much do want them to start playing some units so we can get Kelly down there as soon as possible. Alright, Crow Messenger, well, speaking of units, alright, they're getting 2 out this turn, that's great. Still need to wait 1 turn before we play Kelly, though, otherwise we'll be tied at 2 units apiece, so let's Hideous Feast. Okay, Trial of the Grasses, whoa. Oh, they did it on us, okay. I thought they were going to do that in one of their crows for a second there. Still means we have to wait to Kelly, though, unfortunately. We'll just boost. Alright, now they play the Melusine Cultist. And now that means we can finally play Kelly, which will at least initially destroy a 1-power crow. Amazing. Alright, well, Delirium, they do not have many units. This is not great in that sense. But of course, we do still have some special cards, so let's boost Kelly. Okay, and they'll pass. And that is the trap of Kelly, is they couldn't play any more units, so even if they wanted to, they couldn't get the job done. So we'll take the round 1 win. And the key thing here is that we have Witch's Sabbath, so we can get both Kelly and the Cave Troll back. That's key. So that means let's just get rid of our other units. We'll keep Ciri Dash, though, of course. That's nice to have. And we also got Ryogon out of their graveyard. I'm sure they are very pleased about us having done that. That is not what they want to have happen to him. And so they forfeit. Alright, GG. We'll take the win. Alright, going up against Nilfgaard this time. And they'll go first. Okay, we have Cave Troll, we have Kelly, and we have Witch's Sabbath, so that's perfect. Let's just get rid of other units if we can. Like you, and I guess Slyzard as well. And it is often preferable when they go first. Francis Bedlam for some hand boosting. Okay, sure. We'll go Cave Troll first. And in hindsight, you know, we might have wanted to throw on a leader ability charge on him, just so that he doesn't get locked immediately and potentially get destroyed by Vanamar. Of course, poison is probably only going to be 1 per turn, so that's not as much of a risk. We'd probably react in time, but yeah, there's the lock. That is kind of concerning. We'll get Keltullis down here, because of course they do have more units than us now already, but this could be painful if they immediately destroy the Cave Troll. Of course, we can bring him back next round with Witch's Sabbath, but for this round, might mean that we lose our defender. See, Ihuarraquax, well, I would have thought if they had Vanamar, they'd use him immediately, which they aren't, so maybe we're going to get away from it unharmed, but we'll have to see. They do actually happen to get a lot of boosting there, but, alright, let's do some form of boosting here. Alright, then Urchin, I mean, is going to give them some boosts, yes, but they still have far too many units here, so we'll continue to boost. With, I mean, Triangle Within a Triangle is our biggest one. I'm sure we'll throw in a charge on Cave Troll just in case, and make sure that you do not accidentally give the Cave Troll Doomed. Otherwise, you will not be able to bring it back with Witch's Sabbath, and that's a problem. So if you are going to use Pact on him, then make sure that you put a leader ability charge on whoever you're going to put that Pact on. Okay, now they still have way too many units out here, so, I mean, we honestly could probably pass here. And we're going to destroy one of their units here, and if they want to keep on playing units, then they aren't going to be able to. It's going to get destroyed. And something tells me this was probably a rage quit. Alright, can't say definitively, but I think we all know. That was definitely a rage quit right there. Because they just couldn't handle the Kelly. So we'll take the win. Alright, so going up against Skellige here. And they'll go first. And it looks like we have Cave Troll, so that's a good sign. We have Witch's Sabbath as well. We also have Alzur's Double Cross, and we have Quacks, so we have 2 ways of getting Keltullis. Don't need Quacks in that case. Alright, they're going to start with Little Halfru. Let's start with our Cave Troll. And Coral. Okay, they're going to be going all out discard? Looks like it. That will give them some damage. But we're going to need to boost here so that they have more units than us. Let's go Swallow now. Then next turn is Kelly time. And then Burna. Okay, yeah, definitely. Discard. And again, does mean they'll have some damage here, but I'm hoping that, you know, by the time we get Kelly out here, get rid of one of those guys, and it won't be much of an issue. Here is Kelly. And which one will we get rid of? They're all tied for 6. Okay, it's Burna. Coral probably would have been the best to get rid of, right? I suppose. Alright, Darren. More discard. Pro Mother. Okay, I mean, that is a good card from them to discard, although... Actually, if they bring it out from the graveyard, then Kelly might get stuck just getting rid of Pro Mother, which is not very good. Let's deliberately damage Coral, so that is the card that will get destroyed here, because that's the one that's giving them the damage whenever they discard. Right then, oh, they're gonna heal that Little Halfru after applying that rain. Let's, go another Hideous Feast, and we can control which one we actually get rid of by doing that, by making it the lowest one. Is it the Halfru we prefer? Oh no, it's actually the Halfroot Singer, right? Because that's going to be the one spawning in all of those sirens. Suppose that would have been a little bit preferable. Then again, of course, we'll get rid of their little units they spawn in here, the tokens. I mean, Delirium is, of course, just gonna... Well, wait, what? They do it on our range row? They didn't actually hit us with anything? Okay. I mean, we do actually have room for another unit. And we will have Sabbath if we play the Witch's Apprentice. And, well, not that we're gonna see that get boosted from the Sabbath, because this looks an awful lot like a Rage Quit. Yup, and there you go. Kelly strikes again. Alright, so going up against monsters here, and Fruits of Yizgith is a bit of a counter to Kelly, because of course spawning in a bunch of 1-power units will be the ones that we destroy, rather than the units that they play from their hand, and that's a bit of a problem, because that'll significantly limit Kelly's value. We have the Cave Troll, we have Alzur's Double Cross, so that means we don't need Quacks, or really Matta, because we have a way of getting Kelly out here. We have a few too many units, let's get rid of some of them, or at least try to. Okay, we have definitely more units than we would like right now, and there is Fruits of Yizgith, of course. Gonna at least destroy that first one. Start with the Cave Troll, but with this hand here, it might actually be kind of tough to avoid having more units than them, and even if we do get Kelly out there, then we might just end up destroying those Gurnacore fruits. But moving that Cave Troll to the range row is a problem. Let's adapt here. Go with the Beast instead, and we might wait for Kelly until round 2 or round 3, because movement is another counter against us. Because, of course, right now, the Cave Troll cannot protect Kelly. They're going to create, I imagine that's another copy of the Griffin coming in here. And now, actually, it could be helpful that we have a bunch of other units in here, because these Witch Apprentices, if we do reach Sabbath, could certainly be a nice source of boosts. They're going to go Thrive here, which I suppose makes sense with Fruits of Yizgith. Let's play the other Witch Apprentice. We have reached Sabbath now, so that means those Witch Apprentices will get boosted, as will the Beast. Is that enough to keep pace with all this Thrive, though? It may not be. We'll go Hideous Feast, I suppose, to get rid of one of those Thrive units. Alright, and Fuka, well, more Thrive. And we'd like to save some of our special cards, but, I don't know, I guess we can go with Spontaneous Evolution here? Oh, and the Beast, despite being named the Beast, is not actually a Beast, so it does not get as big of a boost. Who knows? Okay, she will give Resilience to herself, it looks like. We could Matta here, just to get rid of one of our other units. And I think this will give us, well, Kelly. Which now means Alzur's Double Cross is not all that necessary. Tied up at 59 apiece, they'll pass. Except we have passive boosting here, they do not. So we'll take the round 1 win in that case. On even cards, no less. No Kelly necessary. Okay, so we'd like to dump some units here. Don't need the Bridge Troll. Don't need Quacks. And we can use Witch's Sabbath here to bring back the Cave Troll at least. Unfortunately, they do actually have some big Griffins, so they are getting some decent value on their side. But because they had She Who Knows stick around, that means they have more units than we do to start things off here, so that should make it a little bit easier to go with Kelly. I'm just glad that they used that Predatory Dive here and now, rather than at the beginning of round 1 when they could have gotten rid of our Cave Troll. Of course, now it's Kelly time. But now here is the question, with those Fruits of Yizgith, will Kelly be able to destroy any big units, or will she be stuck just getting rid of 1 or 2 power Gurnacore fruits? More or less completely shutting her down. Now that Kelly's down there, we don't want to play any other units. But as we feared, Kelly is stuck just eating those fruits. Yeah, they're gonna keep on doing it, of course, because they can. And it is basically the closest thing to a counter that Monsters has. I mean, it is a counter, to be fair. Go Swallow here for some more boosting. And we are at Sabbath, so we are getting the boost there from the Witch Apprentice. That does help. Ratcatcheress. Lose some of their Thrive units. Technically, they should have played that Fruits of Yizgith first, although it's going to get destroyed anyway. Alzur's Double Cross is pretty useless to us here. think it might be giving us Ciri at this point, but we don't have enough time to draw the card from her, so that's not really something we want to do right now. Hey, Xavier. Oh, that could have been a huge problem if they did that earlier. I guess we pass here, though, because we aren't getting much of anything out of these other cards. That means they'll take the round 2 win here. And we did draw into Ciri, so that is good, but we'll need to play her almost immediately, and don't really want those bridge trolls. Though I guess they could have worked with this Slyzard, and also we don't have Kelly, so the number of units doesn't really matter. Alright. There is Fruitsy Iskith. Here's old Spear Tip. Yeah, they've got some big point slamming units. Go Ciri early, booster just in case they had something like Parasite to deal 6 damage. That way now she's out of removal range. Right, Alzur. Oh, are they going to consume Kelly? They did. That's just rude. I mean, we already used our Witch's Sabbath, so we weren't going to be able to get her back anyway, but it's the premise. And Alzur's Double Cross could give us anything, because everything's tied at 4 power. Right, there's their Witch's Sabbath. Okay, well, I suppose it was relevant for that reason, then. It does give us back the Beast, though, which is kind of nice. Let's, Alzur's Double Cross will give us Apiarian Phantom. It's not bad. It's probably the best of all those cards we saw. Alright, and then the Peller, Purify, Griffin. Not exactly the biggest of plays. We use Garrison here to boost up, I guess, the Apiarian Phantom, really anybody other than the Beast. And I guess not Matta in case they have Yurden. There is the card draw from Ciri, and, well, doesn't help us too much to get the bridge roll, although actually we can consume it with the Slyzard, so that's something. Alright, they have Spores, and, well, okay. Yeah, ideally, I suppose we would have spread out our boost a little bit more. Putting it on Matta would have been worth a couple more points. Consume the bridge troll, we'll deal the damage with the Phantom, and with that, we will tie. So, alright, in that case, yes, putting that boost on the Phantom rather than Matta was the difference between winning and tying. Though, of course, no way of knowing that at the time. And against a deck that counters Kelly in more ways than one, still, I think, a decent showing. Alright, so going up against Scoia'tael and Movement Scoia'tael here. That's concerning because, of course, they can move Kelly out of the melee row and she is row-locked, so we'll see if they're quick enough to react to get that job done. We have Cave Troll, we have Kelly, that's great. We have Witch's Sabbath as well. We have Quacks, we don't need Quacks, so we have Kelly. So we'll try to get rid of our units if we can. Alright, let's go Cave Troll first. And I guess we'll use Crystal Skull on it, just in case, although that shouldn't be as much of a problem as that could have been with, say, Nilfgaard. And yep, there's the movement. Okay, so that's not a good sign. Sarah, okay. And I mean, they're going to summon cards from their deck. That does help with Kelly, but we may not want to go with Kelly here, given how we don't have the Cave Troll to protect her at the moment. So let's go for a rare non-Kelly round here and just try to get Sabbath and get that Witch's Apprentice boosted. Right now, Bountiful Harvest. So it looks like they're going with hand boosting, although isn't the new Torque card, doesn't that get more powerful when you're going with Devotion? They clearly are not Devotion, so that's a little strange. Get rid of you, boost up our Witch's Apprentice, and we got to get a little more boost on our side before that Sabbath will kick in. Okay, now Mock Defender does have a hand boost. And let's get another Witch's Apprentice down here, and with 1 leader ability charge, we'll be at 25. So that'll kick in the Sabbath. So they will get boosted now. No pass early. Okay, that works fantastically well for us. So, alright. In that case, we'll take a round 1 win here. No Kelly necessary. Okay, so we definitely don't need Quacks. Ciri is a nice pickup. We don't need the Vran Warrior, but the Bridge Troll isn't really much better. We can, of course, get the Cave Troll back with Witch's Sabbath, so let's do that. And they will forfeit. They were not ready for that. Alright, well, okay. That's a quick and easy one then, I suppose. Even if Kelly did not make an appearance, her presence alone is just too intimidating, even against a deck that theoretically would have countered us. Alright, so going up against monsters here. Hold on. Their Carapace? Could it be? Could it be a mirror match? Alright, we have Cave Troll, we have Kelly, that's great, that means we don't need Quacks. We also have Witch's Sabbath, so that's great. We could probably get rid of some units here as well. Okay, but we'll make an exception for Ciri. Alright, let's start with the Cave Troll. They're going to start with Parasite to damage our Cave Troll. That does make matters a little complicated, because of course that means they don't have any units out here, so we can't set up the Kelly quite as quickly. So we'll go Ciri now instead. Oh no. It is Keltullis. Oh, this is fantastic. I love it. I love it. Let's boost our Cave Troll. They'll go Pact, which they can do. The problem here is we can't get our Kelly down because, well, our Kelly would destroy itself in this case, because we'd have more units than them. Alright, they're going to use Swallow on their Kelly. Now let's go Adrenaline Rush, and this is just a matter of who has more boosting special cards in their hand. Is it us, or is it them? Because, of course, both our decks are designed to do that. They have Whizbest Tribute. Okay, well, that will get destroyed. And then, no, Spores! They're going to reset us. How dare you? In that case, I mean, I guess we play some units now, so we have fewer when we play Kelly in the next round. But of course, the Apiarian Phantom is more or less a throwaway here, because it's going to get destroyed unless they need to play a unit here. So they're going to go Mahakamale, so yeah, Apiarian Phantom gonna go down. Of course, if we had time to use its order, that would have been worth 2 more points, but that wouldn't have made a difference here. In which case, I think we need to pass here, unless we want to triangle within triangle, but I'd prefer to save that for when we do play Kelly. That means they'll take the round 1 win, but we'll see if we can exact some revenge in round 2. Okay, so of course we lost our Cave Troll, but we can bring it back with Witch's Sabbath. Other than that, I mean, the Witch's Apprentices could be decent throwaways, but we generally prefer to reduce our number of units when we are going with Kelly. And Quax is not really all that helpful right now. They're going to go with Witch's Sabbath. And it does get back our Ciri. We'll lose our Apiarian Phantom here, not that that matters too much, but it means we can't play any units yet. So we'll go with the special cards in that case. And maybe this time we'll actually get the card draw from Ciri. Right, Pact. More boosts on Kelly. And Hideous Feast. We could use to damage Kelly and boost Cave Troll. Again, can't play units yet. Mahakamale again for some boosts. We could Quax, because that will get out one of their units. Oh, except didn't really want to summon Ciri for them. Oops. Oh, and they have a Heat Wave as well. Wow, okay, well, that'll get rid of our defender. So I think now we more or less have to go triangle within triangle, otherwise any unit will get destroyed. And we will get the card draw from Ciri now. Vran Warrior may end up getting some boosts if we end up playing our Kelly. They discard a card there. I suppose they may only have units remaining at this point then. And if we boost the Vran Warrior, then we can make sure that he is not the one that gets destroyed. They're going to continue to discard cards here. We'll lose Quax, and just about anything will get destroyed, but if we go with Carapace, we can get something a little bit bigger, and that way, even if we do lose a card, I think we'll have enough points on the board here to still beat them. Royal Decree, so they will get a unit out in that case. And it's a Wild Hunt Hound, and they do have dominance at the moment, so that will get boosted, and they do get the card draw from Ciri. But if we pass here, we can take the round 2 win with 1 card advantage. Alright, so round 3 we can use Witch's Sabbath. That'll give us the Cave Troll, and then we'll play Kelly. So let's get rid of our units in that case. And this gives us all special, so this looks good. Let's go Witch's Sabbath here. Does mean they are going to get Ciri back. Oh, wait, they Heat Waved our Cave Troll, so we're not even going to get him here. No! Curse you, banishment! So we got 3 engines, they got 1 engine and Ciri. Don't know who benefited more in that case. So anyways, Kelly does still work, we just don't have a defender to protect her. So let's first boost there with the Swallow. And if they play a unit here, which they do, then now we can play Kelly. So we waited a very long time to do this, but finally we can play Kelly. And I suppose now they know definitively that we are also using a Kelly deck, but they had to know, right? Surely they already figured that out. Alright, and they have Quax. In their case, they get up Maxi on their side, Beast on our side. I think that's a pretty good trade for us. Now let's go Hideous Feast, and, well, we can only hit the Cave Troll, unfortunately. And we're getting some boosts happening now, and Kelly is active. They won't have a unit this time. Neither will we. They won't have time to use that card draw, though, from Ciri. We'll get the boosts happening. We'll use our leader ability here. And that means we will take the win from a Super Kelly showdown. A double dragon duel for the ages. So there's a look at a monsters deck for the new Battle Rush seasonal event, and one of the fastest, most effective, and most fun decks I have ever made, using a key card from the Harvest of Sorrow expansion. If you liked the video, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and leave a comment down below to let me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions you'd like us to experiment with next. And if you're as excited as me about the Harvest of Sorrow expansion and the new Price of Power kegs, then check out our 1,000 plus keg, 5+ hour keg opening session. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.